So, good morning, everybody. On behalf of our chairman, Martin Jetter, and our vice chairman, Uli Sick, we also like to welcome you to our fourth SCION Day. It's already the fourth one, and we've come a long way since the first SCION Day in 2022, as you can see by some stat numbers. We've got nearly 500 registrations, with the bigger part participants here in the auditorium and 169 people on offline. Also interesting is that the people here represent about 190 companies, and the combination of users is actually quite interesting because about half are users and other half nearly are ISPs, with about 15% coming from the research area. I think equally important is the growth in the international area, because this time nearly a fifth of the registrations came from outside of Switzerland, and they cover basically everything from business users, from technical users, and from people with an academic background. SCION Day, of course, wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, and we're incredibly thankful to our platinum sponsor, Anapaya, our gold sponsors, Sunrise and Cyberlink, our silver sponsor, Digital Reality, and not to forget our friends who offer continuous support in-kind services, ETH Zurich and CISC, the Zurich Information and Security Center.
All right, so when we start, I want to say, why are we here? Well, first of all, it really feels good to be back here. This is the birthplace of SCION, and we will hear later from Professor Perig. But beyond that, why SCION matters today more than ever? Well, if you look at the cybersecurity landscape, it has dramatically changed in the last few years. With AI, the bad guys are much faster than before. For example, when you have a CV coming out, a vulnerability, it takes now a couple of days for the bad guys to exploit it, because they are automated, because they use AI. So this demands new defenses, new defense layers, defense in depth, and solutions like SCION. We also live in a world that is increasingly fragmented. And here we really need technical solutions that can help build trust like SCION does. In addition, globally, supply chains are becoming more and more complex, more and more interconnected at the same time. And the network is something that we do not think about it. But as they get digitalized, it is very important for our economies that this connectivity stays in place. And so we have to look at what we have today. You either have the internet, where you get some connectivity, but probably not the reliability that you need for critical infrastructure. So many critical infrastructures today use fully separate networks, fully leased lines, and sometimes they have to rely on a single telco. So can we do better than this? And I believe that here with SCION we have the solution for critical infrastructure ecosystems. We have a very strong governance with SCION. With its cryptography, a governing entity can really control who is part of the network. For example, the SMB and SIX do this for the finance network. But we also have the enhanced trust that we gain, because the endpoints, the users, are able to select the data path. And so this way you can control the risk by selecting telco infrastructure that you trust. This also gives you the extra visibility. And of course, the path security features of SCION are very important to enable geofencing. That really means giving the SCION users a choice on which infrastructure they use. So they can choose an infrastructure they trust. If they want to have maybe sovereignty, they can choose national paths or something else. And the beauty of this solution is that this is multi-operator. So this is not a private line from a single telco. This is really a federation of a telco. So even if a single provider is down, then SCION will find a path around it. And probably if you were having something on AWS from yesterday, you can learn why it is important to not have all your eggs in one basket, right? So We have a really great technology, and coming from ETH, I find this very, very exciting. But to really make an impact, technology itself is not enough. We really need to get it to the market, and that's really where we put our focus as SCION Association. And SCION here is a little bit special. So first of all, to many of the users, it is invisible. Every time you pay a bill, every time you get your salary in Switzerland, you're actually using SCION. But people do not know about it. So we have to tell this story. And then the second part that makes it special is that SCION requires collaboration. So collaboration really has to happen between users, service providers, and of course, research. And so as SCION Association, we try to really facilitate this to foster collaboration among a really growing number of service providers and all the other stakeholders. And at the same time, we keep an eye on innovation. And collaboration, of course, is important, but it doesn't happen if you do not have good governance. And I'm very happy that we have somebody who knows a bit about it. So how about it, Luzius?
Thank you, Nicola. Indeed, I should know a little bit about corporate governance. So our association is a Verein under the Swiss Code of Obligation, registered in the city of Lucerne. It's a non-for-profit organization which allows us to more easily talk to governments and regulations as there is no commercial interest at stake. In order to serve all participants of our ecosystem, we have built a robust governance system with our members at the top and at the center. In April, we held our second AGM, where members have the ultimate say in anything from the composition of our board to the finances. As every board in Switzerland, our board of directors is ultimately responsible for the strategy and for the supervision of management. With regard to the strategy, our board is supported by an advisory board made up out of international experts in the technology and business area. A committee structure enables members to actually participate actively in our strategy. So, as of July of this year, Martin Jetter became chairman, succeeding Lothar Thiele. We want to take this opportunity to thank Lothar very much for stepping in at a crucial moment of the association and in finding an excellent successor, moving the association from a more academic world into the business world. If we go through the board members briefly, we have Uli Sick as vice chairman. We've got Reto Francioni as the chairman of the UBS Europe. Among other mandates, we've got Thomas Wellauer, the chairman of SIX, and Vanessa Wood from the ETH. She actually was the first chairwoman of the association. Important are also two observers who are consistent guests, Thomas Moser representing the Swiss National Bank and Andrea Mechler representing the BIS, the Bank for International Settlement. These well-known and respected board members not only provide valuable input into our strategy, but they actually serve as door openers into companies and organizations which otherwise we wouldn't have. The advisory board is chaired by Adrian Perrick, the inventor and the driving force behind SCION, and is composed by a variety of international experts as seen on the picture. I won't go through all the names, but they're all quite impressive personalities. They provide valuable input into setting the strategy, both the business strategy and the technical strategy of SCION Association. And there, lastly, there's our team, small but incredibly dedicated, making use of all possible resources, mainly the various committees with the representation of our members and, of course, with our very active chairman. So back to you, Nico, for a more in-depth view of how the technology and the business is evolving with
All right. Yes, so we have a great supporters, but what do we actually do? So, of course, the technology is at our heart. So since our foundation 3 years ago, we worked very hard on the technology. So that means writing down clear specifications so that anyone can implement SCION, maintaining its open source implementation, Apache license, free to use for anyone. But as we grew over time, then we realized that adoption is really important. And so that's where we have a lot of marketing activity, a lot of outreach that we do directly. And from next year, we also have something new. So we will be also running the SCION registry for IST and AS numbers. So many people ask me, Nico, where do we stand with the SCION spec? So here we go. So the SCION spec is actually a quite massive document. We have, I think, more than 200 pages. We have done 10 revision cycles over time. It is a multi-year work that takes a lot of discussions. The core specs are submitted at the IETF independent stream, and they have been under revision. And I'm actually very happy to say that 2 of the documents concluded the first part of the revision, so they will go to the second step of approval in actually a couple of days. And of course, this is work that we do not do all by ourselves. We do put a lot of team effort to really edit these massive documents, but we rely on feedback from our committees. So we have a standardization committee, and I'm very grateful to everybody who contributes, provides feedback on the documents. And we also work with the research community to push new topics, and I think Professor Perry will say more about it. And we, of course, help them to push it within standard development organizations. When it comes to the open source, I like to think it as a positive-sum game. Everybody gains by contributing to open source. And this, of course, also reinforces security because everybody can look into it, into how it works. So the open source is really a vendor-independent implementation, a reference implementation, so that anyone can use. And we also here have a very huge collaborative effort. So this year we actually run our first SCION hackathon. So the devs got actually a lot of work done and also had a lot of fun and good pizza. And as for the specs, we do put in some effort ourselves with 2 devs that make the open source maintained, up to date. So this year, thanks to the support of your membership fees and of the NLNet Foundation, we made the open source faster, more usable, and we have higher quality checks in the testing infrastructure. So once again, thanks to all the 19 contributors that we have had and to the implementation committee. And yeah, we look forward to have more people to push to SCION Proto. As I said, a great technology without market is nothing. So that's where we do a lot of work on marketing and community. We really want SCION to be known as the solution for critical infrastructure. And we try to leverage any event. So for example, when we announced our chairman, Martin Jetter, we reached out to lots of media, and we actually got a quite impressive media coverage, nearly 80 articles in the DACH and Benelux region. And of course, this is a way to talk about SCION. We are not stopping there, so very shortly we will be on RTL in the Netherlands with an interview on the SSFN, the finance network, together with SIX and Anapaya. And besides that, we do go into a lot of venues and really take the SCION flag with us. So we have been very active at central banking events, finance, and the usual ITF and more technical events, making sure that people internationally know about this great technology. We also have been organizing more events, so maybe some of you from the Netherlands might have been at our first ever event internationally, the SCION Roundtable in Amsterdam, that we did together with Anapaya. Or maybe some of you were at CIBOS, the biggest finance conference, where we were together with SIX. And of course, we are not stopping here. SCION Day 2026 is already in the making. So if you want to be part of this story, if you want to collaborate, then come talk to us, because we need your support to have this great event. And of course, we also need the people. So I'm really grateful to Katarina, who put all of this together. Thank you, and thank you to everybody in our marketing committee. They really work hard to get the message to the market. So what about the market and what about adoption? Because in the end, we want organizations to benefit from SCION. So since this year, we focus much strongly on this. And we have really great proof points in Switzerland with the SSFN and all the other networks that are now coming up. So can we replicate and export this internationally? So we are working hard to generate the demand, and we are engaging with strategic sectors in critical infrastructure. So we are very active within central banks to really educate the regulators on what is possible with the technology. We are also now active in the defense industry. We just came back from a NATO innovation event last week, and I'm now finally allowed to say that. We have been engaging also with the aviation industry, with policymakers, both in here and in other countries, and of course with telcos that we need to build the actual network. So we really want to get to launching more and more of this critical infrastructure network. This year we had 2 or 3 great examples in Switzerland, but we would really like to get one of them per week to be launched. Once again, this is a team sport, so we share more insights about these conversations, of course, with our members. So if you want to know more, then join the association and also join our adoption committee, so we can tell you more about it. Last topic, we are launching the SCION registry. So this is coming up from next year, and this is really a technical thing in the sense that we will be assigning the numbers that you need to connect to SCION. And of course, this service will be free for our members. We will very shortly have a policy drafted, so stay tuned on our channels so that you can comment on the registration policies and also the fees and so on. So this is also discussed with a committee that we recently created with some of the key stakeholders on SCION. All right, so this is something that we do not do really ourselves. So Luzius, can you say something about that?
Thank you very much. So in addition to the committees where the members really get actively involved, we also have the concept of the SCION ambassadors. These SCION ambassadors are people who are not affiliated with a company, but they have such a reputation and such a knowledge of SCION that they actually carry our message into the world. And I'm incredibly happy to tell you that 2 of those ambassadors are actually sitting here, and I'm sure in the breaks they'll be very happy to talk to you. Their purpose, as mentioned, is basically spreading the word of SCION, going to conferences, and due to the fact that they're not affiliated with a particular company, they also have, of course, an air of independence among them. So we shouldn't forget our real members as well. I think the founding members obviously are the cornerstone of how SCION actually even came to being. And I would start actually with Uli Sick, a private individual. Without his support, SCION Association wouldn't even be here. In addition, ETH Zurich, where of course SCION got actually created, they were incredibly supportive from the beginning on, and it's literally the cradle of SCION. And then the 2 biggest users, the Swiss National Bank and SIX, who are contributing a lot, and of course they also, we hope at least, gain a lot through SCION. And then we've got the adopter members, which actually cover now a whole breadth of different industries, from telcos to integrators to banks, as you can see on the list here. So we would be incredibly happy to put your name on your company here on the slide next year as well.
Absolutely. So if you want to get involved, there's actually different levels. So we start with an adopter package that provides you the basics. So you can use the SCION logo, the SCION trademark that we protect for commercial purposes. You can get the visibility by being visible on our website. We also offer big discounts if you want to sponsor events like this one, because we really want to have you as a partner rather than as a one-time sponsor. And then, of course, you can also get the SCION numbers for free. then if you want to get more out of it and maybe be even featured here for free, there is a higher tier, our community tier. And then if you really want to support our mission, maybe support a bit of our open source activities that do take quite some effort to fund, then you can be a supporter. And in that case, we would be very happy to custom do projects with you, including, for example, dedicated events and so on. So we hope that you can join us.
Thank you. As you have seen, the SCION Association literally thrives from the relationships we have with our members, with our sponsors, of course, and with our partners. Today's program will demonstrate how science is evolving and actually expanding in both geographically and industry-wise. We hope you will enjoy the program, make some interesting connections, and become part of the ever-growing SCION movement.